So hopefully you've managed to get some of your programs working. What you should have been thinking about is what's different about this language to other languages and what's the same, what's unique about it, what is the limited domain of what it's working with. So it's working with strings only. And as a computer scientist, I'm always really interested in automating things. Why would we have a computer and then do things manually? So one of the things I'm thinking of doing is that this is an interpreter, what you've been using today. So the Python program basically interprets the program strings of Shredit, and it basically works out character at a time what to do. And if you were processing gigabytes and gigabytes of data, it would be quite slow. So one of the things that would make sense to do would be to turn each of those little Shredit programs into a Python program or a C program or some other faster language, and then compile that code and run it. So what I'm thinking of doing is basically writing a compiler, and you think, oh, that's quite a lot of work, but actually there's not a lot because it's a tiny language. That's a good thing about tiny languages; they're quite easy to process. And if you think about what we've got to do, the star is the iteration, so that's probably going to turn into a Python while loop. The question mark is a selection statement, so it's probably going to turn into a Python if statement. The curly braces, that might turn into a function call, it might just turn into an indented block of code. So each of the different characters in a Shredit program will generate a slightly different bit of Python. And then the idea is that you give it a string for some complex string edit, and you run it through the compiler, and what you get out is a piece of Python or a piece of C or a piece of Ruby or a piece of JavaScript, and then you can embed that inside your bigger program. So what you've been using today is an interpreter, and what I'm thinking of doing it next is to write a compiler.